She left her earring on my pillow. Not on the floor. Not in the bathroom. Not even tangled in the sheets. No, right there, gleaming in the morning light like a dare. And the moment I saw it, a chill ran through me. Because I knew. It wasn't an accident. It was a message. Her perfume still lingered in the air, sweet and smoky, clinging to the cotton of my t-shirt, to the silence of the room. And me? I was frozen, shirtless, breathless, half lost in the memory of what happened just hours before. Or maybe not even memory. It still felt too close to be past tense. You have to understand, this wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to feel anything for her. Not like that. Not the kind of heat that melts logic, or the kind of glance that unravels years of carefully kept distance. She was someone else's, and that someone else was someone I saw every damn week. But last night, something shifted. It started slow. A dinner party at my place. Wine. Music that leaned a little too sultry. A laugh that lingered too long. My hand brushing hers as we reached for the same glass. The way she looked at me when she thought no one was watching. Head tilted, lips parted like she was tasting something she shouldn't crave. I remember the moment I knew I was in trouble. We were alone in the kitchen. She was leaning against the counter, one leg slightly bent, her blouse slipping just off one shoulder. I reached behind her to grab a bottle of wine. Or maybe I just needed an excuse to be that close. Her breath hitched. "Is it always this warm in here?" she asked, voice low, teasing. "No," I replied, staring at her lips. "It's never this warm. We didn't kiss then. Not yet. That would have been too easy." Instead, the tension simmered. She laughed, but it sounded nervous. Or excited. Or both. And when she left the kitchen, her hand brushed my stomach, so lightly it could have been an accident. But it wasn't. Later, when everyone had left and the house was quiet, she stayed. Said she was too tipsy to drive. That her boyfriend wouldn't mind. He trusted her. I offered her the guest room. She said, "I'd rather stay with you." That was all it took. I didn't think. I didn't speak. I just watched her walk into my room like it was already hers. And now, in the light of morning, her earring glinted like a secret, like a claim. A tiny, golden confession. And the worst part? I wasn't sure if I wanted to return it. I didn't text her. Not that morning. Not the next. Not even when I found myself twirling her earring between my fingers like it held the answer to every question I was too afraid to ask. What was I supposed to say? "Hey, you left something behind." Also, did we completely destroy the boundary between friendship and betrayal last night? Or was that just my imagination? No. Silence was easier. Safer. But silence is rarely quiet. Not when your thoughts are screaming. I kept replaying it. The way she exhaled when I touched her wrist. The way her skin trembled like it had been waiting for that moment longer than either of us would ever admit. The way her lips hovered near mine, not quite kissing, as if she wanted me to make the final decision, so she wouldn't have to own it. She didn't say, "Are you sure?" She didn't say, "We can't." What she did say was, "Do you lock your bedroom door?" Like it was a joke. Like it didn't matter. But the way her voice cracked on the word bedroom, that wasn't casual. That was confession wrapped in mischief. And when I kissed her, slow, almost cautious, she didn't resist. She leaned in like it was gravity. Like her body had been waiting years for permission. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't messy. It was deliberate. And terrifying. Because it felt too real. Even in the middle of it, I remember thinking, this will ruin everything. And I don't want it to stop. She cried, a little. Not loud. Just silent tears while I held her. Tears she never explained. Afterward, she turned away from me in bed, curling into herself. I wanted to ask what she was thinking, but I didn't. Because I knew. She was thinking about him. And maybe, just maybe, about how much of this was her idea. This morning, I stared at her earring like it was a trap and a treasure at the same time. A small, glittering detail that threatened to unravel both of us. I couldn't bring myself to text her. But then she made the first move. A message. Just 5 words. Did I leave something behind? My chest tightened. Not because of the question, but because I knew. She wasn't just talking about the earring. And suddenly, I couldn't breathe. Her message haunted me all day. Did I leave something behind? 5 words. So simple, so careful. But under the surface, I could hear it. The hesitation. The guilt curling around her fingers as she typed. The unspoken question hidden underneath. Do you regret it? I didn't reply right away. I couldn't. I was already drowning in what ifs. What if he finds out? What if she wants to pretend it never happened? What if I can't? By late afternoon, I still hadn't answered. I just kept staring at her message, my thumb hovering over the screen, my head split between fantasy and fallout. And that's when she called. Her name flashed across my phone like a warning. I almost didn't pick up, but something in me needed to hear her voice, to know if she sounded different. She didn't. She sounded like her. Breezy. Almost playful. Hey, she said. So, the earring? I swallowed. I've got it. A pause. Then, good. I wasn't sure if I should ask. Another pause. This one longer. I could hear wind in the background, cars passing. She was outside. Somewhere public. Somewhere safe. That's when I heard it. A man's voice. Faint. Familiar. His voice. He was with her. My stomach turned. My grip on the phone tightened. You okay? She asked, like she didn't already know the answer. I forced my voice to stay even. Fine. Just surprised you called. I figured it'd be better than texting. Because texts leave trails, I thought. Because you're scared this might explode. And you should be. I'll swing by tomorrow, she said casually. Pick it up. You sure that's a good idea? Another silence. This one tasted like tension. I'll make it quick, she said. He won't know. Her voice dropped on the last part, barely a whisper. He won't know. She hung up before I could say anything else. And I was left standing there, staring at my phone, heart racing, because I realized something that scared the hell out of me. She wasn't trying to erase what happened. She wanted more. And tomorrow, she was coming back. She showed up at 2:17 p.m. Not a minute earlier, not a minute later. Like she'd planned it down to the second. Which, knowing her, she probably had. Precision was part of her charm. She never did anything by accident. Except me, maybe. I heard the knock, soft and measured. My pulse spiked. I should have let it ring. I should have walked away. But we both knew I wouldn't. I opened the door. And there she was. In that loose white blouse that always fell off one shoulder, like her body refused to be tamed. High-waisted jeans, hair tied up, a delicate sheen on her collarbone that shimmered when the light caught it. She looked normal. Too normal. Like she hadn't curled into my chest just 3 nights ago and let her voice crack while I whispered her name into her hair. Like she hadn't kissed me like it was the only real thing she'd felt in months. Hey, she said, stepping in without waiting for permission. I closed the door behind her, slowly. Hey, we didn't touch. Not yet. But the space between us was electric. She turned, eyes scanning the room like she was checking for evidence. Her fingers brushed the edge of my kitchen counter. Casual. But her other hand was clenched tight around her purse. So, she started, biting her lip. Do you still have it? I nodded, walked to the bedroom. She didn't follow. Not until I came back, holding the earring in my open palm. A tiny gold hoop. Simple, unassuming. Nothing about it should have felt dangerous. But it did. She reached for it, but stopped. Her fingers hovered just above mine, not touching. Her eyes didn't move. They were locked on my face. I couldn't stop thinking about it, she whispered. I didn't ask what it meant. Because I knew. And in that moment, the stillness, the heat, the breath we were both holding, something cracked. Her hand didn't just take the earring. It found my wrist instead. Gripped it. Anchored itself there like she was afraid of what would happen if she let go. I shouldn't be here, she said. But her voice said something else entirely. I know. Her body moved first. One step. Then another. Until the space between us vanished. And then her forehead was resting on my shoulder, and I could feel her exhale like it belonged to me. I didn't kiss her, but I did press my lips against her temple. Gently. Slowly. Like a question I wasn't brave enough to ask. And then, her phone rang. We both froze. She pulled away like I'd burned her. Fumbled for her purse. Looked at the screen. His name. Bright and bold. Right there between us. Her face changed, softened into something polite. Practiced. She answered. Hey, babe. And I stood there, 6 inches away, listening to her lie with every syllable. Smiling at him with her voice, while her body still leaned toward mine. And that's when I realized. We were in far deeper than I thought. She left in a rush. After the phone call, her energy shifted, like the sound of his voice had shaken her out of a dream. She slipped the earring into her bag, thanked me like I'd just handed her a lost sock, and walked out with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. Not a hug, not even a look back. And yet, the room still buzzed with her. I stood there for a long time after the door closed, staring at the space she'd occupied, trying to decide if I wanted to chase her down the hallway or scrub every trace of her from my life. Spoiler, I did neither. Instead, I poured a drink, something stronger than I needed. And then I saw it, crumpled at the edge of the couch, a white shirt. Her shirt, the one she wore that night. Thin cotton, buttons loose, still smelling like her perfume and sweat and everything we weren't supposed to be. My stomach dropped. Had she noticed? Had she left it on purpose, like the earring? Another breadcrumb, another dare? Or had she simply forgotten, too caught up in the game to notice the pieces she was shedding? I picked it up. It felt warm somehow. Soft. Dangerous. I should have texted her right then. Should have said, "You forgot something again." But I didn't. I didn't want her to come back. I wanted her to have a reason to. Later that night, my phone buzzed. It wasn't her. It was him. The boyfriend. My friend. A message. "Hey man, random question. You haven't seen her name, shirt, have you? She swears she left it at your party, but can't find it." My blood turned to ice. I stared at the screen, rereading the message until the words blurred. He was calm, casual, completely unaware. And I was holding the answer in my hands. I typed a reply. "Haven't seen it, but I'll check." And then I turned off my phone. My hands were shaking. Because in that moment, it hit me. I was no longer just part of a secret. I was part of a lie. And the worst part? I didn't want out. Not yet. She came back the next night. No warning. No call. Just a soft knock at my door around 11:30 p.m. I didn't ask why. I just opened the door, and there she was. Hair loose this time. No makeup. Hoodie and leggings. The kind of look people wear when they want to feel invisible. Or forgiven. But her eyes told a different story. They were hungry, desperate, and scared. "Can I come in?" she asked softly, her voice already inside me. I stepped aside. She didn't say anything at first. Just stood in the hallway, staring at the floor like it might open and swallow her whole. "I shouldn't be here," she said, barely above a whisper. I didn't argue, because we were way past should and shouldn't. "I lied to him," she added. "I said I was going to my sister's." My stomach twisted. "Why?" She looked up, and that's when I saw it, the storm behind her silence. The chaos she was barely holding in. "Because I can't stop thinking about you," she said. "I close my eyes and it's your hands I feel. Your voice I hear." She stepped toward me, and suddenly, we were back in that current. The pull, the ache, the impossibility of it all. "I'm ruining everything," she whispered. "And I don't even care." Her hands found my chest. Her head dropped forward. I could feel her breath through my shirt. And I froze. Not because I didn't want her, but because I did. Too much. We stayed like that for a long time. Her pressed to me barely breathing. Then she looked up, eyes glassy, lips parted, and said something I wasn't ready for. "He asked if I'm in love with someone else." The room tilted. "What did you say?" She blinked slowly. I said no. Then she added, "But I didn't mean it." The air thickened. Every part of me screamed to touch her, to kiss her, pull her in, let it all break. But she stopped me with just a look. "No words," she said. "Not tonight." So we didn't speak. We just moved together like shadows, touching without talking, breathing without thinking, letting silence say the things we weren't brave enough to admit. And somewhere between her fingers in my hair and her body curled against mine on the couch, I realized the truth. This wasn't just an affair anymore. It was an escape. For both of us. And we were starting to need it more than we feared it. It was a small thing. A laugh. Too soft. Too intimate. The kind that slips out when you forget you're not supposed to be happy. She laughed in my apartment, barefoot in my kitchen, wearing my hoodie, holding a spoonful of ice cream like we were just two people who belonged to each other. And I forgot to be careful. That's the truth. For a few seconds, I forgot about him. Forgot about guilt. Forgot about consequences. I just watched her, illuminated by the fridge light, her hair messy, her lips stained with strawberry swirl, and thought, this is what it should feel like. And that's exactly when everything cracked. Because I didn't know she had shared her location with him. She'd done it months ago, casually, to check in late at night, or feel safe. She'd forgotten all about it. But he hadn't. My phone buzzed first. A message from him. "You home right now?" My chest went cold. Before I could even respond, before I could lie, I heard the knock. 3 sharp raps on my door. Her eyes went wide. The spoon dropped. She didn't ask who it was. She knew. And in that instant, everything that had felt sweet turned to acid. "I'll hide," she whispered, already moving toward the hallway. But I grabbed her wrist. No. She looked at me, panicked. We can't do this anymore, I said, heart pounding. We can't live like fugitives from our own lives. The knock came again. Harder this time. I have to open it, I said. You have to choose. And there it was. The moment. She stared at me like I'd just held her heart over a flame. And then, quietly, like it hurt to say, she pulled away from my hand. I'm not ready, she whispered, and disappeared into the bedroom. I opened the door. There he was, smiling, holding a six-pack and looking at me like nothing was wrong. Surprise, he said. Thought I'd swing by. Your place is closer than hers. I let him in. I had no choice. He sat down, cracked open a beer, started talking about work, weekend plans, the game. I nodded. I laughed. I pretended. But I couldn't hear a word he said. Because just behind him, down the hall, she was in my bedroom, listening, hiding. And when his eyes wandered to the hallway for just a second, just a flicker, I felt the blood drain from my body. Because her laugh was still echoing. And I think he heard it too. He didn't say anything that night. Not about the laugh. Not about the glance down the hall. Not even when I fumbled every word, every gesture, every breath like my lungs forgot how to lie. He just sat there, drinking my beer, smiling with that ease that comes from trusting the wrong people. Eventually, he stood up, clapped me on the shoulder, and said, "You good, man? You seem off." I said I was fine. He left. And the moment the door clicked shut behind him, she came out of the bedroom, pale, shaken, barefoot, her arms wrapped around herself like she didn't know whose body she was in anymore. "He knows," she said. "I don't think so," I replied. But even I didn't believe me. We stood in silence. That thick, awful silence that comes when reality floods back in like cold water over warm skin. She sat down on the couch, head in her hands, shoulders shaking. "I can't keep lying to him," she whispered. "I can't keep lying to myself." And then she looked up at me with those wild, exhausted, beautiful eyes and said something I'll never forget. "The earring. I didn't forget it. I left it on purpose. I didn't move." She continued, "I wanted you to find it. I wanted you to remember. Because I was scared if I left without a trace, it would all vanish. Like it never happened. Like we never happened." I walked over, sat beside her, didn't touch her. "I remember," I said quietly. "I haven't forgotten a single second." She turned to me. "But now what?" We sat there in the flickering silence of my apartment, surrounded by shadows and secrets, both of us knowing the truth. We couldn't go back. Not to who we were. Not to who we pretended to be. The affair was never about the cheating. It was about the escape. The permission to feel something raw. Something real. Even if it was wrong. That night, she didn't stay. She took her shirt, her purse, her silence, and left without saying goodbye. And I haven't seen her since. But sometimes, late at night, I take out that earring. I hold it between my fingers, feel its weight, its warmth. And I remember. The risk. The ache. The way she looked at me like I was the only place she'd ever felt seen. She left more than an earring behind. She left me, suspended in that impossible space between who we were and who we almost became.